here we are on the steering box of Goldie, and pardon me, you can see down the bottom here, I'll bring you up so you can see, you can see the oil leak. It leaks oil there, and look, it's done that for quite a while now. And what we're going to do is, when I get the camera sorted out properly, we're going to take this side cover off here, and we're going to replace the seals and the bushes on both sides. Now, pardon me, on the early tractors, like the early gold ones, the battery box here gets in the road of pulling that plate off. Now, on the later serial number tractors, and look, it may be after 65,000, I'm not sure if I got my numbers right there, but look, the later tractors, you don't have to undo your battery box. We've undone it, we've had to pull the dash off and all that to paint, and being in a serial number, I think we're serial number 16,800, so we're going to have to take ours off. So I'll move you back a little bit just so you can see what's going on. And I've covered this before. Look, all I do here to get the tie rod ends off is I've got a little bit of plate I put there. I don't put it over riding, I just put it over a bare bit of housing. I pop the nut loose. And all I'm doing here is just going to put a little bit of pressure. You can see the arms turning a bit, so we know there's a little bit of pressure on that nut. And we should be able to just give it a bit of a crack. I don't think that one got it, we'll just see. We don't care about the paint missing at the moment because we're painting it. But normally I'd perhaps do that with a bit of wood or something like that. But for this job we just don't care for the moment. We've got to sand him and buff him and fiddle along with it all. So that's the tie rod end off. Next we just grab our big shifter because that's all I've got handy. They've had a left hand shifter, they should all be chucked to the shit house, but I'm too lousy to throw it away. Look, it won't go there. I'll come back when I've got the right tool. Okay, back again. Turns out 38mm wants to fit it the best. So we just got to undo this arm here. I should actually just lift all this out of the way. I have it all unbolted, like I say, for the dash. I still need to undo the two little screws on the safety start switch, on the neutral start. So, but anyway, we'll just plod along with this. And this has to come off now, and same on the other side. I'll only show one side, and that's the bolt that you can't get to because of the plate, where the other one, the voltage regulator bolt's on the plate here, and I've taken that off. That's the plate that holds the screws in. We're going to solder all them in, and that'll give us access to the steering box to do those parts. So I'll go and grab the puller and all, and we'll pop this off. Well, there you go. I was just getting it ready to... I had this big puller on here, and I was just tensing it up and going to turn the camera on, and the next thing, bang, off she popped. So there you go. You've got to have a win now and then, haven't you? So we take that arm off. Now you'll see inside there, can you see in there there's a master spline. So it'll only go on 4 ways. And see, it's obviously not going to go on that way. So I haven't centre popped it. I thought no need to. There's a couple of little marks here we've got to sand off from someone banging it some other time. So anyway, I'll go and get the other side off, and we'll come back when we're ready to pop the side off here. Alright, we've got all the arms off. I've had a visit from the grandkids, so we've been playing. But there's two big bolts on the steering box here in getting the side off, and they're used as like a dowel to keep it all in line. So we should be able to just pop this bloke. So they're a very snug fit. So we'll get a punch. And we'll just bump that fella back just below the surface of the housing here. All right out the other side. You do it how you like, eh? What have we got here? These look metric, but I'm sure they're not. They're 5/8. 5/8 AF spanner on these fellas. Let's shift these little screws around the corner because it must have oil in it because it's been leaking. This is your filler up here, but oh, we'll see. In behind the bushes here we have a Welsh plug, so we'll probably pull all that out, I think. This one's a little bit firmer. Oh, beautiful gear. Look at that. Hey, you want to have a play in that? Woohoo. Where's the grandkids? I'd love that. Okay, now there's a little lip up here. So I've got a pot down on the floor to catch all that. I was reading yesterday about the oil and it said a non-liquid oil. So, looks to be liquid to me, but anyway. So there's the plate. We have two bushes in here. There's a Welsh plug down the end there, and then we have the external seal here. Now that seal is rock hard. No wonder it was leaking. I'll pop that in the pot. Now you can see how this works. As you turn the top of the steering wheel, there's a recirculating ball and shaft here, and that just turns one shaft one way, one the other. So when you turn one way, it just follows you through. Now for this job here that I'm doing, we're going to seal this other shaft here and this one here, so we don't need to pull that apart anymore. So I'll just take it right, that's right up as high as it'll go that way, and this shaft should just come out. There we go. There, look, it looks all brand new really. They don't work hard, they just, well, they normally don't work hard, they've got a good purchase on there. But this one here, we don't actually have to pull that out. If we did, we'd have to pull these pins. You undo the caps and you pull the pin, and you can then wind the top up out of the way, but there's no need to do it, so we're not going to. The adjustment on the top is very good on this. But we will need to have a bit of a clean out by the looks. Just seems any timing marks on there, but it doesn't appear to be. Surely with only 4 teeth there and 4 teeth here, we shouldn't be able to bugger that up too much, you wouldn't reckon? There's a little bit of greasy shit down the bottom there. And you can see this shaft wanders back and forth a bit. You know, the recirculating ball shaft, but it's allowed to do that. When we look at the top, right up the top there, there's a support and bearing going each way up the top here. So that lets that have a little bit of movement down the bottom. So alright, we'll clean a few things up now, and yeah, we'll knock this bush out through here and we'll put a seal in, and we'll tidy everything up and we'll come back. Right, we've got the steer and end cap just sitting in the vise here. I've cleaned up most of the surfaces, and I do have bushes to put in, but look, there's just nothing wrong with the bushes. I'm not going to replace them just for the sake of it. They're certainly okay. I'm just going to hook this seal out here. Easy as that. Give it a clean up in here. We've cleaned the housing out over there, so it's all looking good now. Yeah, the seals are just a rubber seal. Lip goes to the oil as per usual. So we'll just use the old steering washer. Make sure he's all the way home there. And you can feel the seal's nice and soft now, where the old one, it's just hard as. It didn't have a chance of sealing. So I'll do the same on the tractor on the other side of the steering box. I probably won't film that, and we'll come back when we're back at the box. Okay, there's a seal in the other side of the box, the same as this fella here. I'll keep it in the frame, Lance. God, it's hard to get good help, isn't it? Okay, so I've cleaned the gear here. I've polished the surface here. I've made that all look nice. Now, I like to put a bit of grease. I'll try and zoom that out a little bit if I can. I think we're missing a bit too much of it. So a bit of grease on the seal surface here, just to help lubricate it and the bush. Okay, now we slide that in there like that. Then we turn the steering wheel. Yep, we've got full travel. See, we have 5 teeth here with 4 gaps in between them. So look, that's looking good. Now we have a new gasket for here. It's part number S41960. It's a Sparex part. All these parts are Sparex. Oh, I nearly threw it in the old oil. Now once again, oh shit, sorry about that. You know I'm not real keen on bloody gasket goo, hey? So let's just put a bit of grease around here. If grease isn't going to seal it, it's not going to seal. Just a good covering, haven't got to smother it. Now this bolt up the top here, bit of grease around that, where it sits in the alloy housing here. It's one of those things, is it going to do any good? Who knows? Is it going to do any harm? Definitely not, so let's do it. Alright, now use the leftover grease on the shaft here. You want to turn it that? Hey, bloody good fun. Now the housing that we just put a seal into, that's this little shiny little sucker here. Make sure it's clean. Put a bit of grease where the bush sits up here. Not that we really need to. Now, bit of grease on these too. Yeah, if we're going to use grease, we're going to use a bloody heap of it. I'm not going to reach around over. Now with these two bolts, we take them up, but we don't do them up quite yet. Because if we do the little bolts up here tight before we get the big bolts through, there's not much point in it, is it? The big ones are to line the housing up. So now those two are lined up. We don't have to nip them up just yet, the bigger ones. But now we have them in the dowels. What I'm trying to get through to you is the dowels are doing their job now. So there's no harm done in tightening these up once the big dowel pins are in. I had a ring spanner here somewhere. You haven't seen it, eh? Here it is. Stop looking. Stop looking. I found it. Alright, so we're just going to knead that up firm. I've buffed all these bolts up too. They had dags round behind them where we couldn't clean them up properly last time when it got painted, the old girl. So with these dowel bolts in, we know we're in the right spot, so we can put a pound or two into these. And I'll get me spanners and do these blokes up, and I'll come back once we've done that. Right, we've got all the bolts tightened up here, and they're nice and firm. Now I'm not going to put the felts on yet. I'm going to put some oil in. We've got plenty of time on this job, so I'm just going to put some oil in. Now in the book it says, oh look, I'm not sure the exact wording, but it says, yeah, like almost a grease in the steering box. But look, it's just not that important what you put in here. I'm putting a bit of 90 in here. And all I got around at the moment in my lube bay is limb slip 90, so limb slip 90 it is. Don't get too hung up on the oil. Bloody engine oil would be just fine. Diesel, it just wouldn't matter. I'm checking every couple of pumps. Very easy to overfill. That's a bastard to get out again. Just like that. Probably just an air bubble, that one. We'll see. It breathes up through the top of the column, up in the top bearing there, so. I'll cycle him back and forth a few times. Try and work any air bubbles out of him. You're looking to fill him to about the bottom of the thread there, but yeah, see, all we had there was an air bubble. It's pretty close there though. As I'm turning the gear, I can actually see the oil coming around on the top of the gear as the shaft moves. I'm getting oil on top of it. So I'm feeling I'm pretty close. If in doubt, you grab a zippy tie. So apart from measuring the oil in, if we just go, yeah, you can see there's oil right up to here. So there's oil about that level there somewhere, and that's fine. Every movement the steering column does, it has oil on it. So what we're going to do now is pop the bung back in. A little bit of grease on there. It doesn't splash up or anything, all this oil in there. Look, if you felt better about jamming that packed full of grease, nothing wrong with that either. Okay, so we're going to leave that. There's one thing that's annoying me a little bit, which I'll have to deal with in a moment. I'll come back in a second. Right, I'm back. Now see, this gasket's bigger than the thing? I hate that. I'll just run around with a Stanley knife, or a craft knife, or whatever you call it in your country. Get rid of all those little bits of gaskets, so when we paint the tractor, we have a nice line around there. Not that anyone sees it under the steering box here, but who cares? It's got to be right. You'd think with the modern technology and laser cutting and all that sort of thing, these would be perfect, wouldn't it? So anyway, you get the gist of it. I'm going to go right around the whole thing and make sure there's no gasket sticking out. I've got a nice line running around there. Right, now the gasket's all off. I'll just clean this oil up here and the grease from the gasket. Wipe him all nice and dry. Then we'll go home tonight, then in the morning we'll come back and have a look and make sure we haven't got any leaks. We have the time. I think it'll be right, but if we've got the time to do a test, let's do it. That feels nice. I can turn that easily with my fingers just up on the top of the column. So let's give it a bit of a tidy up the top here on the top of the column, just to make it look